Hello everybody, this video is going to discuss the notes I've taken down for chapters 1 through 4 of the Vanishing Chip. I will be taking pictures of these as well and sharing them on the class story, so if you can't see them too well, don't worry, they'll be on there to see better. If you have not read the first 4 chapters, try to avoid this because it will spoil some things for you. So I'm just going to go through the notes I have written down for all 3 pages. If you're doing something different, that's fine, just kind of match up. And then in the class story, I'm going to ask for the students to kind of share what they've learned. So if there's something I missed, you guys can share it as well. I've only read the first 4 chapters. I am not skipping ahead. So questions 1 and 2 is when I go back over them. It says, number 1, in what ways is each character alienated? Was it thrust upon them or did they choose it? And then number 2, each misfit has a special talent. What are these talents? So for each person, so the first one we have Peter, who seems to be the leader of the group. He's very smart. He outsmarts older kids. Currently, he just beat the seniors in chess, and he's only in 10th grade, which is unheard of in this school. He also knows his very small details. He can look at a person and within minutes, probably not even minutes, probably within seconds, get an idea of what that person is or what they do. Like Maddie's grandpa, who had the Marine pin or something, he noticed right away he was part of that. We have Bite, who I believe her real name was Eugenia, but she goes by the nickname Bite. She's very solitary. She likes to keep to herself. She's very smart with technology, and she uses computers for her notes, which again goes to technology. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the technology later, but it's a little different than what we're used to right now. We have Maddie, who is the only freshman of the group, 9th grade. The other 3 are in 10th grade. He is, so far I got from him, he's very stealthy like a ninja. He can put the notes in their backpacks, their notebook, computer, whatever it is, and they don't even know he was there. Also, don't forget, he is the grandson of the person who's been accused of the crime. And then we have Jake, who's a football player, but he would rather not be a football player. He wants to play the clarinet. We learned this more, that he doesn't really want to do it, when he went home and talked to his dad, and luckily his dad was not upset by it. All right, on to the next question, number 4. Remember, question number 3, there is still a question 3 in the learning document. It's just we're not taking notes on it right now. So number 4 was, how are each villain different in their evil? So in the first 4 chapters, we are introduced to the 3 villains in the book. We first have Rourke, or Roark. I'm going to go with Rourke. He's responsible for stealing the 1286DX chip. He appears to be the ringleader based on the conversations with the other 2. Well, other one with Mr. Finneman. But we'll get to him in a little bit. So he definitely is the leader. He's the one that's buying that mansion, to hold all the stuff there. So he is definitely the leader based off of what I've read. We also have a man named Mr. Krogh, or Krogh. He seems to be maybe like a muscle for hire. When there's problems, Rourke will call him. And based on based on Mr. Finneman's thoughts, Mr. Krogh, or Krogh, likes to use torture, which is not good. And then we have Finnerman, who is the vice president of the Intel Corporation, where the chip was stolen from. We learned that, or he seems to be very nervous when he meets with Peter and Jake. And based on his conversation, he's in it for the money. So Mr. Rourke, or Rourke, came to him and offered him lots of money. I believe it was $50 million for the chip. So we'll see where that goes from here. He definitely seems to be, of all 3 of them, the one with a conscience, because it appears he doesn't want the boys hurt after Rourke calls Krogh to tell him basically to follow him. As for the technology, so what examples of the uses of technology for both good and bad purposes do you find? I will be honest, I did not look into when this book was written at first. I only checked it today, and the book was actually written in 1998, which is 22 years ago. So back then, the book we're reading now, their idea of state-of-the-art technology is very old for us. So going through the things I found so far, we have the Intel 1286DX computer chip. We have Byte's computer, which he uses for notes and stuff. We have the laser system protecting the chip, so that, the security, which nowadays you think about the line, if you touch it, it sends an alarm off. The technology used to steal the chip. So how did they get the chip? Then we're introduced to, or talked about, the security system in the mansion at Bugle Point that Rourke was trying to buy. We have a hologram, or virtual image, which in hologram is not really there, and that seems to be what Peter is thinking. What happened with the chip? And then this is the very unusual one, which if you're a parent right now, you would probably thinking back to those dial-up days and the long phone calls and interrupting phone calls, the using a modem jack to send emails. So nowadays we have Wi-Fi and all this stuff, beautiful stuff. Back then you had to actually disconnect the phone line, and then if somebody called you, it would interrupt your internet. It was not a fun time based on what we have today. All right, so I look forward to next week continuing this book. It is definitely, I am interested in it, and there are multiple books in this series, all available on Epic, which is nice. Have a good one, guys and girls.